Good morning. Welcome to AM Prime. I'm Leah Ann Jones, and I'm holding on for Andy for the rest of the week. It's Wednesday, 6 July, and we're smack dab in the middle of the work week. So happy hump day. Let's take a look at what's coming up in the program this morning. Andy Johnson is in Suriname covering the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference. It ended yesterday, so we're going to chat with him this morning to find out what took place during the meetings. Joining us in studio this morning is Acting Superintendent Ashraf Ali, and we're going to discuss, amongst other matters, the reports coming out of the recently concluded investigation into the death of PC Jilks in April. We'll take a look at the country's latest COVID statistics and look also at the Newsday newspaper headlines. And coming up in the second half of the show, a basement in my head. That's a tribute concert to the Mighty Shadow. We're going to be speaking with Sholon Bailey and the granddaughter of the Mighty Shadow, and they're going to be giving us some more details on the upcoming concert. The 43rd Ordinary Meeting of the CARICOM Heads of Government took place in Paramaribo, Suriname over the last 3 days, wrapping up just yesterday. Our very own Andy Johnson is in Suriname for the meetings, and he's joining us this morning via Zoom to update us on the key takeaways from the conference. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Andy joining us in studio.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, is for all of us in public.
Here with Andrew Lewis, sailor. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
The most beautiful thing about sailing, in my opinion, is it's where it was, originated from. It was a form of transport that was allowing people to connect different parts of the planet. And sailing today has become many different ways of life, but I have chosen the pathway of the Olympic Games.
For women to feel confident, we have to feel sexy. That doesn't mean outward appearance. It could be a mental state, it could be a physical state, it could be an emotional state. And if you choose to be liberal, and if you choose to be conservative, that is up to you. I just give you the space to choose whatever you want to do.
What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
The issue
the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
If you live with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19 and has to self-isolate at home, take care of them from a distance and reduce their movement around the house. Give them space, a designated space, and open those windows. If you have to be in contact, mask up, both of you. If you work, stay home from work and don't go out, not even to the grocery or pharmacy. And remember, no visitors allowed. Limit the contact to limit the spread.
The Trinidad and Tobago Red Cross Society. Mission-based, people-focused, community-driven.
All right, I think we have Andy here with us. Good morning, Andy.
All right, morning. We're good to be talking to you. So what I could tell you is so the summit wrapped up last evening with a press conference for longer than they said that they would go because they had other things to do. The host president here in Paramaribo was bringing dinner for the delegates and other people who attended. But they went through an agenda, a substantive agenda with a lot of stuff that they agreed upon. Of course, you know, the traditional history of this organization, this Conference of Heads of Government in the CARICOM. This was their 43rd regular meeting since the signing Treaty of Chaguaramas on July 3rd, 1973. It started with one summit a year, and then they have this intersessional that takes place per year of each, and then the major summit at this time, around the time that the treaty was signed in the first week in July and so on. But one of the decisions that they took at this summit, it speaks to their determination to get more things done as to agree. And so they decided that they will they meet 2 more times in a year. One is not certain when that will take effect, but that is one of the things that the President Santokhi said last evening because of the determination to drive the agenda for moving forward and continuing to move forward with this integration process. So that is to be seen how it will play out four times a year, which was 6 times a year, as a matter of fact. If they're going to increase the meetings by 4 times, so they meet twice now, and they want to meet 4 more times. So that's like, 6 times? That means every 2 months. Well, a lot of people who heard it, certainly people in the media, as you gathered there, how possible is that for them to be meeting? Well, I suppose in this era of virtual kinds of gatherings, people will have to travel too much. They could do that by whatever other means. That was one of the issues in this summit. This was the first one in this where there was more of a in-person presence because, with COVID in 2020 and then in 2021, to the extent that it was largely a virtual thing. So this one was a blended one. And I imagine one is that they would continue to meet in that situation, to that formula, if they're going to hold to that decision. They'll meet 6 times a year. But I suppose you go through some of the things that
So Andy, tell us what were some of the
and they agreed upon issues such as climate financing. What are they going to do? Come up with a common position on how they will finance matters having to do with adjusting on the climate agenda. And they say that planning has to start now for the next COP27. Of course, the meeting in Scotland, so COP26, the conference of parties on the question of the agenda of the warming of the planet. The next one is in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt, and they have issues that they want to address there. There was also a lot of discussion having to do with the disagreements that they have on one issue or the other and how to avoid the scenario in which, for instance, on the election or the retention of the person who is now the Commonwealth Secretary General. She's a Dominican-born British citizen. She was coming to the end of her first term, and she was up for re-election, and there was a discussion among the heads because even going in, and when she was initially appointed, there was the argument that she was not. The argument across the region that she was not essentially a CARICOM citizen, but that she'd been a citizen, she'd been a baroness and all that kind of stuff, but still Solicitor General of the United States and whatnot. And some countries felt a way about that, but she prevailed on that occasion. But the issue came back, and it threatened to change the custom by which Commonwealth Secretary General gets to serve 2 terms. And so this was the term of the CARICOM representative after all was said and done. But there was this argument in such that the government had put up its own candidate, its Foreign Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith, and for a reason wasn't explained, the government of Trinidad and Tobago decided to throw its support behind her. But Baroness so went ahead and a position as Commonwealth Secretary General. And then there was the issue about who attended and who didn't attend and why the recently concluded Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles. There's a discussion that some countries, Cuba and Venezuela, I think Nicaragua, their presidents were not invited. And again, some of the leaders in the region said that if they weren't invited, they won't go because they wanted to express unity with those countries, and that they were against. Those of them who decided that, they were excited that she could tell us who to friends with, at least in this part of the sub-region, but some didn't. And they had some discussions about how to avoid those kinds of decisions that will cause differences of opinion among them when these global issues in which they are involved. There was an update from the organization known as the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, which is based in Port of Spain, on addressing matters that are still there with the pandemic. And that included, out of the COVID-19 pandemic, they're watching the issue of what is called monkeypox as it threatens to come into the region, to what extent that will be a similar kind of issue and maybe as pervasive as the COVID. They're looking at that, so that is an issue on the active agenda. And then the Caribbean Private Sector Organization, that is a group that was set up some years ago, when it was announced some years ago, and it took some years to be. They say that will drive the ambitions under what is called the CARICOM single market and economy, which means doing better and more coordinated trade among countries. And one of the major elements of that is to have what is called the freedom of movement of people in the regions. I was told on the margins of the conference, and then while the president spoke a lot about last evening, that they have done significant work with addressing those issues. One major takeaways from that is that they're going to extend the categories of workers in the region who will be able to move from country to country to find work, whether it's in agriculture, agricultural workers, and those will benefit from that now. And the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Raul Gonzalez, said, well, look, we are just expanding the categories, because it was started with 5 categories, and then it went to 10, and then went to 12, including media workers were among the first bunch, and then cultural artists and skilled people. So it's a situation now where they want to increase to include almost all the workers in the region, and in about how, because they were questioned significantly by some of us about, you continue to make these decisions, what are the arrangements to get them in place and a time that is respectable of your to do that. And the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines talked a great deal about that, how their resolve is to do that, and that he's saying that the formula for doing it, there are arrangements country to country that can be made if, let's say, a domestic employee in one country wants to go to the next, those 2 countries can come to an agreement and work that out, rather than to have to wait for the full body to decide on those things. And there was much more. Also, I could tell you that there is a young lady who is the dean, which is the head of the CARICOM Assembly of Parliamentarians, and she addressed the summit yesterday as well. And what she was calling for is that, among other things, Major, there be created more space for young people in the region to have a say in the decisions that are taken on the life of people in the region. And again, there was some questioning from myself and young Ghanaian journalists on that point, because they're sort of cynical about, again, decisions being made and then the bureaucracy having to drive it lags behind by a lot. And again, the Syrian Army talks about what the arrangements are now and how they are resolved to address some of these things. But those are some of the decisions that formed the discussion at that press conference last evening.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to ask one question based on the discussions held on the CSME. Were there any policies discussed in terms of making it easier for persons to apply for that CSME certificate? I know that's one of the major issues we have with the implementation of the CSME in the region.
Any discussions on what?
Any discussion on policies to get towards making the application or applying for the CSME certificate for these persons who wish to apply for it? I know that's one of the major issues in terms of the process to apply for it being very difficult. Were there any discussions on this?
Yeah, well, essentially it's general that they're going to be doing the work to put those things in place, because they say that this and in fact what I'm told is that the CARICOM private sector organization is driving that, and they were happy with what they had proposed. It's just to break down the bureaucracies in each place and go for that to a great extent. And that was defined by one of those persons I had spoken with even before the press conference, that the presentation was made by the chairman of that organization, the Trinidad and Tobago business executive, the CEO, Patrick Anthony, and they're saying that the arrangements are significant for what they seek to do. Mr. Warner, Gervais Warner, the head of the Massey Group in Trinidad and Tobago, and I can tell you on the margins of the meeting yesterday, as it was breaking up, there had been this issue. He had with an email that shouldn't have gotten out, and he was addressing the issue of Guyanese positions regarding local content, where it has to do with their emergence as a major player in oil, and what it would mean. This question of local content in their trade relations with other countries in the region, and that had caused some friction between at least the government in Guyana and the people in this private sector organization. And but I was looking at a situation in which they were hugging and taking pictures, and I asked Mr. Warner afterwards, so that means that you all have healed the rift. And he said, well, I'm glad you saw that, because yes, so that there's a understanding about how the thing will be set out to work, and it was called a substantial movement on that issue for what transpired yesterday.
Okay.
Lots of other kinds of agreements. So those that they came around to discussing in a significant kind of way. Also, I tell you that there was some discussion of two things with countries in the region. One is that the Premier of the British Virgin Islands attended the summit against in the sort of environment in which there are threats, they say, from the British government to reimpose direct rule on the people of the British Virgin Islands. And the conference yesterday opposed that, and they say they will do what is necessary to keep that from happening, because they say that the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines was making the point that the conference itself took the position that whatever is happening that is good in the British Virgin Islands, it has to do with the work and the contributions of people in the Virgin Islands, and they should get to enjoy that without further encroachment on their sovereignty and their autonomy by the British government. And the other one was a discussion on Haiti, and they decided that they were trying to put together a team now to be going to Haiti to renew solidarity with the people of Haiti, to try and sort out the persistent problems with social and political instability in Haiti.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and Andy, just one more thing before you go. On the topic of food security, we know, especially coming out of the pandemic, food security is of utmost importance, not just us in Trinidad and Tobago, but also in the region. What were the discussions held around food security in the region, and how we plan to achieve such?
Yeah, okay, so there was a lot of discussion about it, and I think from my notes, they spoke about what the arrangements would be. Again, Guyana being a major player in that land, and they're discussing coming together in ways that are still a lot technical, but those things have to be worked out, so that there is going to be a greater sense of security regarding the growing of food. The Guyana government has promised massive increases in the land that is going to be made available, growing different kinds of products, and how they're going to work it out. And so it's a complex sort of arena they've come to, but that was high on the agenda, and they had a lot of discussions about how to go about it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Andy, for joining us. I know you're over there in Suriname, for updating us on the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting that concluded yesterday. Thanks for your time this morning, Andy.
You're very welcome.
All right, that was Andy Johnson reporting from Suriname on the 43rd General Meetings of the Heads of CARICOM governments. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the country's latest COVID statistics.
The Mary Immaculate Prayer Group and Friends presents its prayer breakfast on August 31st in aid of Monsignor Christian Pereira. The prayer breakfast begins from 9 a.m. at the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception. Cost is only $200. Come support the Cup of Gratitude in aid of Monsignor Pereira, August 31st.
Tickets are available at the Parish Office of the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception and the Parish of Our Lady of Perpetual Help.
Artist sale at Softbox Gallery. For 2 days only, a sale on paintings by artist Real Leasing. The public is invited to purchase original oils, acrylic, charcoal and watercolor paintings created between 2011 and 2021. Friday 8th July 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday 9th July 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Softbox Gallery, number 9 Alcazar Street, St. Clair. For more information, email realleasingartist@gmail.com or follow her on social media at Real Leasing Fine Art.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
The best birthday gifts are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola.
Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you hooked. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
Burning questions, urgent topics. Welcome back to One on One, the show where we tackle the most current and pertinent subjects that are affecting all citizens, where we ask the hard questions and have in-depth conversations. What separates One on One from other talk shows is that the conversation stems from a younger perspective on topics that affect the fabric of our society. One on One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on WESN Content Capital.
Welcome back. Our next guest joining us here in studio this morning is Acting Superintendent Ashraf Ali, Media Ambassador for the TTPS. Good morning, Mr. Ali. Welcome and thanks for joining us.
Good morning and thanks for being here, Ms. Jones. But it's Acting Assistant Superintendent.
Acting Assistant Superintendent.
Yeah.
Thanks for that correction. Okay, so the protest action by residents of East Port of Spain that took place on Monday was a result of police killings that took place on the weekend. And family and residents have come out saying that, they're just frustrated by what they say is a use of excessive force that they've been experiencing over time, along with police brutality, and they just want their voices to be heard. This is their reason for the protest action that takes place from time to time. We're going to take a look at a quick video before we get into the questions.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, well, it seems that we've had some audio issues there, so we couldn't get the audio on the video. But tell me, Mr. Ali, what are your thoughts on some of the residents claiming that they are frustrated and they're fed up with being victimized and their voices not being heard? Some have been reported as saying that they see no other alternative to have their voices heard.
All right, so even if you watch the clip just now, the body language of the individual is clearly indicating that they have some they're disturbed with the situation, and they're very emotional in that circumstance. So yes, it's understandable in a situation like that where a loss of life and the alleged incident where police would have exceeded their use of force and the authority in the situation. Now that is an active investigation, so I cannot determine whether or not there was an excessive force or police brutality, or as a person saying that was a police killing. These are what they call police-involved shooting. After an investigation is completed, then we'll determine whether or not it was lawful, justified, or whatever the case may be. Right? Yes, I understand that they choose this option to vent their dissatisfaction with the authorities. As you see throughout Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of the different residents in different areas choose this option. It's something that Trinidad and Tobago, the persons in Trinidad and Tobago of the opinion that anything that is of a peaceful nature has no value to them because they don't get the reaction that they want. So they choose this type of activity by burning tires and blocking the roadways and all of that. It's against the law to do it. I don't know if they really feel that they're getting the satisfaction or the outcome is going to change the investigation is going to complete faster than usual, right? Because there's a process. What I can say to those individuals is that personally, I don't think that is a proper way to go about it. There are different ways to deal with it. The judicial system has to follow. We need to understand that a process must take place, and after a process, if you're still dissatisfied with the outcome of the investigation, you still have the opportunity to take it further. By stating these type of things now, it means that you're already biased about the outcome. You're already of your opinion that anything that the police say right now is not the truth. So you're already biased to the information that the police are going to put out, right? So it's something that we have to look at. But at the end of the day, that the police service has to do their investigation, and their findings will be sent to the DPP, and the decision will be made how to treat with this matter.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Now, this term use of force, we hear it all the time. Every time there's an incident where there's a police killing or just an altercation between members of the public and members of the TTPS, we hear the term use of force. Can you explain exactly what it pertains to, and if there's a metric or if there's a policy in the TTPS for how it is measured, or how police members are trained when they have to interact with the public?
Right. So yes, there is in fact a use of force policy within Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It is reviewed when incidents of this nature happens. So there's always a review of it to determine whether or not the policy is officers are keeping in check with the policy. All right. So when you use the concept of use of force as it pertains to police law enforcement is the force that is required by law enforcement to subdue or get a situation under control. Now, we have varying levels of use of force. Previously, you already realized that there was a lot of challenge in the police service where we didn't have any non-lethal weapons generally for police officers. It's straight to the firearm, as the case may be. Now we have tasers and we have pepper spray. We also have police officers have batons. Now, these are things that you can use as an escalation to the incident before you reach your firearm. And the determination of which one of the weapon or which one of the device to use, I should say, determines or is dependent on the situation. For example, if someone, and a lot of the examples that people are using right now is that if someone you want to do a normal routine check on the road, and you put on your swivel light, you see a vehicle driving on the highway, they're driving, and one of the key things to remember is that police officers will observe vehicles, observe drivers, observe type of drive, the type of drive a person will be committing on the highway. And certain things would make them become very suspicious about that activity. So a police officer will now, in that circumstance, want to pull a driver over. In a police vehicle, you have the swivel light, you have the siren, you buzz the siren, you have the mic in the vehicle, it could indicate to the driver to pull over to the side. Now, this is where it becomes very tricky. If that driver or the occupants of that vehicle refuse to obey the instructions of the police officer that's failing to comply, because those devices that they have used have been indicating to you to pull over because you want to speak to you. If they should speed off, that makes your suspicion go a little higher. Why are you driving away from the police? You have something to hide, or something is not wrong, or something is wrong. The officer now will communicate with our command center and indicate to them that vehicle X, Y, and Z failed to stop and they need their assistance in intercepting the vehicle. Now, note, there is no evidence to support that there is a firearm in the vehicle. Right? This is a normal routine stop. But in a normal routine stop, we have to assume the worst. So when you're going to stop this vehicle, you may intercept the vehicle, you may, another vehicle may stop it, pull it to the side, cause it to reach out to come onto the side of the road because you don't want to injure anybody else on the road. And that type of use of force now has to be measured. So now we're going to escalate. You stop the vehicle, you call out to the individuals to come out of the vehicle, put your hands out to the vehicle. And if and during that situation, let's say for instance, you happen to see something resembling that of a firearm, you have to take the next appropriate level. Your threat level to that incident has already increased now. So you're going to a next level. The person may have something of resembling that of a firearm, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw for your weapon. You're not going to put your weapon, you're not going to shoot up the vehicle, but you're going to draw for your weapon and indicate that you are now getting ready, right? And we are trained in different aspects of it, right? So when you draw your firearm, you face your firearm down in a non-aggressive position, and if it is that you see a weapon, then you're up in the aim where you call, you're becoming aggressive now because you're already into the target, right? So you are trained like that. So we are escalating our response dependent on the situation, and every situation is different, right? But what officers on patrol have to bear in mind, or always bear in mind, and the public needs to understand that when you're going on patrol and you're driving a police vehicle, you are always in what we consider to be orange, in your mindset of orange. You're not green, where you're calm and collective. You're always on orange because you're on patrol. At any point in time, you'll have to get into action. So you're not as, you're not driving on a Sunday drive, right? You're always aware that something can happen during our course of a tour of duty. So officers are always in that state of mind, or getting themselves in that state of mind to interact with persons. Okay. Now, it is difficult when the public believe that, one situation, you have to respond the same way in the other situation. There is no template to say you must do A, B, C, or if you do reverse, you're wrong. It depends on the situation, and every situation, as it unfolds, the officers there have the experience, the training, and have the judgment. They have to make their call on that situation in the interest of public safety and the interest of themselves and protecting the general public.
Okay, now thank you for that. Following up, what are your thoughts on the effectiveness of this use of force policy, how it's used by members of the TTPS, and are there regular trainings to update members of the TTPS who go out on patrol as it pertains to this use of force policy?
The use of force policy is effective. It gives us a guideline what to do and what not to do. Now, there is no particular matrix that persons would like to see that you have a checklist of things to do, like disaster preparedness. You have a checklist. The use of force policy is not like checklist like that. Do A, do B. If it can, if C is not existing, do D. It doesn't work like that. It gives us a guideline, give us some guidelines how to react in certain situations. It doesn't say it that you have to go exactly, because the use of force policy doesn't take into consideration everything that we may encounter and all the circumstances surrounding an incident. We are regularly trained at the academy, and officers are continuously training and retraining in the different type of devices that we have, like the taser and the pepper spray. Even when we get new firearms, we have new additional training. And then we also have officers who go into different sections, specific sections, who are frontline sections. We call them like the task force, the ERP, and GB, and the ITF specialized units. They have additional training and more in-depth training, right? We are also trained in, and officers police. The public may not know. We are trained in defensive as well as offensive driving. It's two different. We can use our vehicle if we need to as a device to push our vehicle off the road. That's offensive driving, right? It's more done in the field of VIP protection, right? And you realize when you see our executive, our president and prime minister, how they drive. Nothing supposed to be getting into that convoy because it's a security risk to the individuals, and no vehicles are supposed to come close to them. Persons complain about that at the same time, that why they have to drive like that. But it is part of the training, and those are VIP protection. So it is part of the training, and you have different type of training for different units, right?
Okay. In your answer to the first question earlier, in your example, you stated that if a vehicle is asked to pull over, the alarm is sounded by the siren is sounded by the police, and they indicate that they would like the car to pull over, and they refuse. That results in an escalation of the police officer's response. You said that it gives an indication that there's something to hide. What about the residents' claim that they fear victimization because of the communities that they come from, as in perhaps let's suppose the killings that took place on Sunday. These guys came from marginalized areas, the Beetham, Sealots, and Chumakak in Laventille. They came from these areas. Some of them are inclined to run. What do you think that says about the public's perception, or the perception that the police have of residents from certain areas?
All right. So in that situation, the perception may be that, but when the information came to the police officers who received the information about the vehicle and the occupants of the vehicle had no names, had no addresses of anybody. They had information about occupants of a vehicle that failing to comply with the instructions of a police officer and sped off. They don't know which part of Trinidad and Tobago they came from, right? So it can be. It is now that we have found out after the fact and the incident where these young men were from. Okay. And it's unfortunate that they are from these areas. So it appears that we targeted But we didn't know, the officers didn't target. They target a vehicle with suspicious persons, and that is the result of it. And sometimes these are we only can make these, the public can make these claims after the fact, but a police officer don't watch a vehicle and tell you, okay, well, he's living this area or he's living that area, unless the officer interacts with that individual and gets that information, then.
Okay, I understand. Now, this incident over the weekend and the subsequent protests on action on Monday comes on the heels of the reports of the findings of the investigation, the Police Complaints Authority investigation into the death of PC Clarence Gilkes in April. A civilian was initially accused of the murder, but we now know that PC Gilkes was killed by one of his fellow officers. How does this play into the public's perception that the police cover up to protect their own?
Well, if we are saying that the police is covering up to protect their own, then the investigation in PC Guide's situation was not a cover-up. The evidence was there. And I am saying that at the end of the day, the facts and the truth will come out. We have different methodologies, different techniques in the police service, in law enforcement to identify certain things. We have ballistic testing that confirm. We had an autopsy that confirmed, right? Yes, the first information that was relayed, there was some disparity in the information, right? I cannot say whether what was a clear indication that they were trying, as the PCA claim, to perceive or that they perceived that there was a clear intention to give wrong information to the Commissioner of Police. I cannot say if that was the intention. All we know was the information that was relayed initially, and after the information, there was additional information that came forward that was that stated something differently. Now, we just can't. The PCA did their investigation. They are a body that has been authorized to to oversee some investigations where police involved incidents are in police service. They are authorized to do it. The level of investigation that they does goes down to a particular line. At the end of the day, whatever their findings are, and they hand over to the police as well as DPP, then the police now will have to do their own investigation. The final file will be sent to the DPP based on all the findings by everyone. And the DPP will make a decision as to how to prefer and what type of charges to prefer, right?
Well, the PCA report also states that there was a deliberate attempt by the police, the officers involved, to mislead the acting commissioner of police at the time as to what took place. That was the findings of the report that was handed over to the director of public prosecution. So it begs the question as to what does a report like this and the findings of a report like this do for the public's confidence in the police service?
Well, no. I'm in agreement with how it appears that the findings of this body stating that there was a deliberate, and the strong words like deliberate. I don't know how they came about with the word deliberate. That I don't know what evidence they have to support that. Who they interviewed that would have suggested that there was a deliberate. And saying deliberate means that somebody would have said, I intended to deceive. I don't know how they come about that, but those are strong words. But I'm also saying that, yes, when you use strong words like that, they cast a lot of aspersions about the integrity of an investigation after, right? The Commissioner of Police has not indicated that there was any deliberate attempt to deceive him, right? The information that was given to him initially, there was some discrepancies in it, right? But at the end of the day, the investigation that will be completed and sent to the DPP will determine whether or not there was in fact a deliberate attempt, right? But the findings from the autopsy and the ballistics have been confirmed by the commissioner, right, that it was unfortunately the fatal shot, the officer, our officer was shot by friendly fire.
Okay. Mr. Ali, are you aware of any real metrics for the measurement of police confidence as it pertains to the TTPS?
I know that the police department, the HR department, would have done some of that. I don't know what is the statistical data at this point in time, because I don't know if any measurement is continuously being done at this point in time, right? But I'm sure that our executive is looking at the whole situation currently and looking at our public trust and confidence, because that's a key to the police service right now and how the public view us, because trust in the police service is not only from this perspective, it gives us the opportunity to measure how our additional resources and how we utilize and how we interact with the public and the outcomes of it, because we cannot fight crime by ourselves. We need the public to give us information and come forward and share information with us. And if they have no trust and no confidence in the police service, then unfortunately, we'll have a lot of crimes unsolvable because no one wants to come forward and share information for us. So that is something that we continue to look at, and we work very hard to ensure that we have a high level of trust and confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Okay. Well, we've had many reports of police brutality and police strong arming members of the public in their attempts to regain control of a situation such as Mondays. Do you think that our method of policing has emphasized control and coercion as opposed to serving as the primary function?
Now, when you look at the word, when we try to equate serving, I can serve you very sternly. I could give you instructions very sternly. Is it that I'm not serving? Because when I stop you on the road and I speak to you politely and I say, "Good day, ma'am. Ms. Jones, I need to do, we have done a road check. Could I see a driver's permit and documents?" Sometimes, what the first thing in public say, "Officer, why are you coming to stop me for? Why are you going to fight crime?" This is part of my function at the same time, right? So it's a balance we have to take in how we use and how we treat with citizens, right? Not every time you go, you will be as polite as possible, and everybody has an opinion of how polite you should be or how respectful you should be to me, right? And I always say that the only way you can get respect, right? You have to earn the respect of the individual. You have to respect yourself, respect the other person, and if you respect the other person, you will get reciprocated.
Okay. I'm being told that I need to wrap up, but I just have one more question as it pertains to a Newsday article yesterday. The former strategic advisor in the Ministry of National Security, Dwight Andrews, is on record as saying that the country needs to embrace technology and start integrating it in order to fight crime more effectively, because old strategies cannot be used to stop new techniques by criminals. What are your thoughts on this, and how has technology been used in recent times in the TTPS?
No, that is so true. All law enforcement throughout the world are using technology now to enhance their law enforcement capabilities. So we have been utilizing tracking devices, GPS for vehicles. We have been utilizing the CCTV cameras. We are using data analysis to identify crime patterns, crime trends. So there's a lot of technology that has been used. Now, the public may not know of those technologies because some of the technologies that has been used, the public sometimes compare those technologies like that of when you're watching CSI and crimes. Those are in movies. Yes, those things are happen, but we don't go behind the scenes to see what type of technology and what type of is being used at the forensics. Don't go and find out what type of technology is used at the DNA lab or the ballistics lab. Behind the scenes, those are behind the scenes things that are happening, that those type of technologies are being used for this purpose. Now, there are a lot more technologies outside there, but at the end of the day, technologies will be utilized, but they must be gradually introduced into the police service.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. We have to wrap up. Thank you very much, Assistant Acting Superintendent, Mr. Ashraf Ali. Thanks for joining us this morning and speaking on matters of the TTPS and public confidence in the men and women sworn to protect and serve. The news is up next. We will be back.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
In this season, we talk more about health, wellness, and everything in between. I am so excited to share with you everything about health and wellness so that you can design the life that you've always dreamed of. Join me here on What's Up Doc.
What's Up Doc, Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Site, Thursdays at 11 a.m. only on WESN, Content Capital.
Burning questions, urgent topics. Welcome back to One on One, the show where we tackle the most current and pertinent subjects that are affecting all citizens, where we ask the hard questions and have in-depth conversations. What separates One on One from other talk shows is that the conversation stems from a younger perspective on topics that affect the fabric of our society. One on One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on WESN, Content Capital.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Artist sale at Softbox Gallery. For 2 days only, a sale on paintings by artist Real Leasing. The public is invited to purchase original oils, acrylic, charcoal and watercolor paintings created between 2011 and 2021. Friday 8th July 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday 9th July 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Softbox Gallery, number 9 Alcazar Street, St. Clair. For more information, email realleasingartist@gmail.com or follow her on social media at Real Leasing Fine Art.
The Mary Immaculate Prayer Group and Friends presents its prayer breakfast on August 31st in aid of Monsignor Christian Pereira. The prayer breakfast begins from 9 a.m. at the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception. Cost is only $200. Come support the Cup of Gratitude in aid of Monsignor Pereira, August 31st.
Tickets are available at the parish office of the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception and the parish of Our Lady of Perpetual Help.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
A reminder from WESN. We urge you to protect yourself and others from the spread of COVID-19. Stay safe by taking some simple precautions. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Wear a mask. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay at home. If you have a fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention. Following the above can help us all to help each other.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. We will take a look at the country's latest COVID statistics now. Total recovered patients stand at 157,427 persons, and the total number of positive cases as of yesterday stand at 167,658 persons. Total active positive cases is 6,213 with 73 new cases, and there are 88 patients total in hospital currently, with the total number of deaths to date at 4,018. That was a look at the country's latest COVID statistics. A baseman in my head. This is the headline title to the tribute concert to the late, great, mighty... Sorry, apologies. This is the headline for the tribute concert to the late, great, mighty Shadow. Joining us in studio this morning is Calypsonian, producer and son of a mighty Shadow, Sharlon Bailey, who is accompanied by his daughter, Inesha Bailey. And we also have with us from the Little Carib Theatre, the Assistant Manager, Nikita Henry. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so tell us, Ms. Henry, tell us about the concert.
Well, this is our second in what is now a series. In May, we did a tribute to the late Lord Kitchener, and it was a almost sold out show, and everybody really, really enjoyed it. And we are continuing with the series of our icons. We have called it Our Icons in Next Generation. So basically, we are paying tribute to our Calypsonians who have passed away, and also doing that tribute with the next generation, their sons and daughters. So we have the Mighty Shadow with his son, Charlon Bailey, for this upcoming session.
And just for the public's information, this is a series of concerts that's going to be ongoing.
Yes.
And it's being put on by the Little
Carib Theatre. Yes, it's our initiative post-COVID to get people out again, to get people loving our history and our culture again.
I'm sure the turnout is going to be awesome. I myself am very excited about it. Mr. Bailey, tell me, what can we expect from you at this concert?
Well, I can't give you plenty, but we could touch on some shadowing sense. I mean, we can do every shadow in the short time we have, because we go to spend a couple of days there. Well, if you're ready to attribute, because I mean, there's an artist whose career span for a very long time, and five decades and five decades of hits. So I mean, we kind of put it together and touch different decades, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s shadow, you know, a nice variety.
Okay, all right. And Ainisha Bailey, daughter of Charlon Bailey and granddaughter of the Mighty Shadow. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a singer, I produce music, and I'm a musician. I play 10 instruments.
10 instruments?
Yes.
Which instruments do you play?
Quattro, piano, guitar, recorder, tenor, bass, and soprano. I also play steel pan and trumpet and trombone.
Wow, I'm very impressed. This is quite an accomplishment at your age. How old are you?
12. I'm
okay.
12.
And you do all this along with your schoolwork?
Yes,
I see you're in your school uniform this morning. You're heading to school after this?
Yes, I am.
Oh boy. All right, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit more, Charlon, about the who we can expect at the concert, the lineup?
Well, yes, well, of course, myself with a live band. You will probably get a performance of Ainisha. Maybe she might play the instrument. Who knows?
Any one of the 10?
You'll also have a guest performance by Mr. Shaq, you know. He'll come and do his thing, because he's also did some couple of years back, he had a piece from which his brother, Mastermind, with a producer called the Dr. Bailey Rhythm, where he had a song called Twilight Zone. We was successful in competitions and things with it. You know, he could be making an appearance there. As I tell you, I ain't want to give out too much of these shows. They don't want to come, they could think about it.
Okay. Tell us, Ms. Henry, how does the public access tickets for the show?
They can call us at 622-4644, or and follow us on any of our social media at The Little Carib. That's on Facebook or on Instagram. You can also access a link via our website, and you can pay online, bank transfer, and pick up your tickets at the door.
Okay, all right. So you don't necessarily have to go before to get your tickets.
Correct.
All right, good. Give us a little more insight into this tribute concert. I understand that it is a series of concerts that you're doing in light of the cultural icons of Trinidad and Tobago. But tell us more specifically about this concert for Shadow.
Right. So, as we all know, that he has left a great legacy, and we definitely don't want to just honor our icons when they are gone, but it's just a taste of what we know of the Mighty Shadow, and the great hits that he has had, and even some that we may not have that easily comes to mind, you know. So we're just trying to give that feel to the country again.
Okay. And is there anything that you'd like to add on that, Mr. Bailey?
You come out and support and enjoy yourself.
Yes.
Has anyone told you, Mr. Bailey, that you look like your father's twin?
Every single day.
You walked in there and I did a double take. Even though I knew to expect it, I did a double take when you walked in.
Well, he once asked me, so why you gotta look like me so much? I tell him I didn't have a choice in the matter. They didn't line up face and say, pick one, you know, you just give me this, I had to work with it.
And was this something that kind of built your own visual aesthetic?
No, actually, I kind of look at it as it worked against me for a very long time because, I mean, I really wanted to find my own space as Shalon musically. I mean, as a musician, producer, songwriter. I mean, on all these aspects are showcased, right, for people who have made Monarch finals and stuff. But I always been about Shalon, but I guess too, there was a point of recognizing that I'm also part of his brand, you know, and I don't have to be, I mean, we'll have old models, not calling them old, but they have old models and new models to vehicles. So the old models might have manual windows, new models go automatic, so I aim for automatic.
Oh, that's a really good analogy. All right, and what about you, Anisha? How do you identify as the granddaughter of the mighty Shadow?
Well, I'm still here doing my own thing, but I understand that it's a legacy that I have to keep up to. And I'm honored to be in the show and to be singing one of his songs. And yeah.
Yeah. Do you have intentions in the future to get into? You sing primarily calypso at the moment?
Yes, I do.
So you take part in the junior Monarchs and stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So you have plans for 2023?
Possibly.
Possibly. Okay, right. We're not willing to get anything out of the bag yet. Okay, no problem. Can we expect a father-daughter duet at the concert?
Well, we might do one again because last time we performed together on stage was during his funeral.
All right. I believe we actually have a video of that. Can we show the video?
From my birthright, man could keep me far from riches. Man could place me into ditches. Man could bruise my face, take my place. The night and the day, no one could take away.
Sing the chorus.
For I believe in the stars in the dark night. I believe in the sun in the daylight. I believe in the little children. I believe in life and its problems. You could rob me.
You can rob me.
You could beat me.
You can beat me.
You could cheat.
We also have another video that was, how old were you there? You were about 8?
Yeah, 8, 7.
7, 8? Wow, such amazing talent. I am very impressed. We also have another video to show, Farewell to Dr. Bailey.
To shake it down. They had to hear me, Shalon. They had to hear me. And then he do the song, we say, I don't want to get vexed and lose my temper, Mr. Kitchener and Mr. Sparrow. Because anytime I get vexed, I go use my razor. So I'm warning you, carry me by the Obia man too.
And this was performed at his funeral a couple of years ago. Literally his twin. I get chills. I get chills seeing it. Wow. Okay, is there anything else? Before we go, I understand we have a ticket giveaway.
We do.
Yes. Before we go into that, is there anything else that any of you would like to tell us about with respect to the concert?
Yeah, July 16, 6 p.m. to the Carib Theatre.
To the Carib Theatre, corner of White and Robert Street, Woodbrook.
All right. So the concert entitled A Bassman in My Head.
Yes.
Yeah, classic song there from the Mighty Shadow. It's July 16, 2022 at the Little Carib Theatre, and we have a ticket giveaway. We are going to be asking a question, so the first person to call in with the correct answer can win a ticket to the concert on the 16th. I'm going to allow Mr. Bailey Sherlon Bailey, to ask the question. And I will give you the number. It should come up on the screen there. That's the number to call in. It's 628-4578 or 623-WESN. That's 628-4578 or 623-WESN. Those are the numbers you're calling in to win a ticket, for a chance to win a ticket to the Basement in My Head on July 16th at the Little Carib Theatre. So I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Bailey, to ask the question.
All right, well, it's a simple question. And I don't want the name of the song, but I want the year that Mr. Bailey won the road march and came second to himself.
All right. Okay, we have a call from Arima on the line. The question, did you hear the question, caller? Good morning.
Good morning. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, you didn't hear the question. Okay, so the question was, what year did the Mighty Shadow win the road march and also came second? He came first place as well as second place in the road march competition in this year.
What year he won the road march?
Yes, he won and he also came second. Placed second.
That would be 1974.
Yes, 1974. Wow. She was correct. Well, you are the first caller and you're the first caller to win, so yes.
I should have asked the songs instead.
Can you tell us the songs? I mean, you've already won the ticket, but if you can tell us the songs, that'll be a bonus.
That would be the Policeman and Stranger.
No, it was the Basement, yes, but it was...
And I Come Out to Play.
I Come Out to Play. That was the second.
Okay.
So, and interestingly, to note, the Mighty Shadow was the only Calypsonian on record to win both first place and second place to date in the road march competition. Yes? Thank you. Just stay on the line. Let me just get your information. Hello? All right, great. So thank you very much. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm very excited for this concert. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best success. I hope to hear about this duet. I hope to see it myself.
We hope that you would come out.
Yes, I definitely intend to be there. I intend to be there.
Okay,
and I wish you all the best, Miss Henry, you and the Little Carib Theatre in your future productions on
so much,
our icons, the next generation. It's a really amazing production, and I look forward to many, many more.
Thank you so much.
All righty. We're going to the regional news next.
Former long-serving Grenada Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell will be officially sworn in as opposition leader on Monday. That announcement came Friday through the Government Information Service. The four-term Prime Minister lost power in the June 23 general elections after his party, which completely dominated the parliament in the last 10 years, only took 6 of the 15 seats. During the campaign, Dr. Mitchell had indicated that he was considering retiring from politics, and some had suggested that he might not have taken up the position as opposition leader. Party sources say Dr. Mitchell is likely to remain as both opposition and political leader of the new National Party, at least in the immediate period. Grenada's new Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell says he is eager to find out what has happened to the country's pursuit of oil and gas. On the eve of the general elections in 2018, then Grenada Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell said explorers had found oil and gas reserves in the country's waters south of the island. There were some reports subsequently in foreign media of exploration deals being worked out. But the Grenada government has reported nothing in the years since about the situation. The new Prime Minister said he needs to find out more.
I want to find out what happened to the oil and gas. I think every citizen of Grenada deserves an answer. I honestly don't know.
Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell said it is a matter his new administration must get to the bottom of.
Oil and gas, located just down the road from Point Saline, can't just disappear. So I'm saying, to me, as a Prime Minister of the country, I think I'd be abdicating my responsibility to the citizens without finding out and without saying I made all efforts to find out what happened to this oil and gas, where did it disappear to? Is it genuinely a case where there's no commercial value to it, etc.? And at least come clean, say this is what we did, this is what we found out.
The Department of Infrastructure, Ports and Transport held a heads of department meeting on Friday to finalize the new bus rates. The increases are expected to range from 25 cents to $1 depending on the route. The public is reminded that this is the adoption of the 2013 review. There were a few details which needed fine-tuning, resulting in a delay in implementation.
As we know, the government of St. Lucia did indicate that as of July 1st, 2022, which is today, the bus rates will be increased to ranging from 25 cents to $1, depending on the route. And we must remind the public as well that this is the adoption of the 2013 review. That was 5 years after the last bus fare increase that the minibus operators got. Now, in the interest of time, we will admit that on the ministry's part, there were a few delays. There were a few things that we had to iron out.
The National Council on Public Transportation has decided to implement the new bus fares on Monday, July 4th. The reason being that the Gazette bearing the new prices was released on Friday, and omnibus operators needed sufficient time to post copies of the new rates on their buses for public consumption in accordance with the law. This will serve to reduce operator-commuter confrontations over increased rates.
We would like the members of the public to look at the bus fare that is posted on the bus and make sure that it has the stamp of the ministry as well as the stamp of the National Council and that of the particular association that they are traveling on, because we anticipate that there might be persons that would be trying to do that. So we are hoping that the public would look for the stamps. We also want the operators to make sure that they have the stamps so that the public will not think that the prices that are on there is something that they themselves created. So just to avoid confusion, we would like the operators to have the stamps, and we would also like the members to look out for the stamps.
The National Council on Public Transportation is calling on both operators and commuters to conduct themselves in a civil manner in order to minimize any unsavory incidents.
And that's all the time we have for the program this morning. Thank you for joining us here on AM Prime. Thank you as well to all our guests, Mr. Andy Johnson out there in Suriname, who gave us a report on the 43rd General Meeting of the CARICOM Heads of Government that took place earlier this week. Thank you as well to the Assistant Acting Superintendent, Mr. Ashraf Ali, Media Ambassador of the TTPS, and to Nikita Henry of the Little Carib Theatre, along with son and granddaughter of the Mighty Shadow. They were here to discuss and to give us some information on the upcoming tribute concert to the Mighty Shadow on July 16th. Congratulations to our ticket winner as well. If you want to get in touch with us here at AM Prime, send us an email at wesncc.com, or follow us on all our socials at wesncc.com. I'm Leah Ann Jones, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. So do enjoy the rest of the day, and see you then.